Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the last session of the 2012 Spring Cleaning Get Organized Challenge, which is challenge number 8, Preparing for a Crop. I mentioned to the people who were online earlier, we do have a little bonus session tomorrow. The magazine article idea webinar is going to be tomorrow. That's also a free webinar. It's at noon. I'll post the link on Facebook and in the follow-up email that goes out tonight or tomorrow morning about how to join for that. And it'll also get posted on the Spring Cleaning Challenge page on the website just down at the bottom. So if you can't join us live for that, but you still want the information, it'll be available on the website at some point tomorrow afternoon as soon as we get it all downloaded. So this challenge is preparing for a crop. And again, we always have a few new people. So this is the last challenge of this series. For those of you that are new, I'm going to talk through the presentation, but you have a little question pane. So if you think of questions as I'm talking, you can type them in at any time, and then I'll answer all the questions at the end of the webinar. So I'm going to reduce my pane size here so it doesn't make so much of a black box. So let's get started with this week's winner, which is Linda Mallett. And so here's Linda's picture of her picture sorting. And this is, I guess, a little bit of an older entry that got drawn out today because it's from challenge number 4. So I'll try to send you some photos. I did post on Facebook, so good job, Linda. Nice to see your trail of photos there. And Linda has won a $25 Scrap Rack gift certificate, so you can email me or email customer service, Linda, and we will get that sent out to you. Congratulations. Let's get going. So preparing for a crop or class. Now, I've been traveling for 10 years, and I've been to lots and lots of crops at shows, and other crops too, but mostly, I see a couple of major crops, a month at a show. And what I observe is the people who bring the most stuff get the least done. Now, so the less you pack, the more you're going to get done. And if it helps you to think of terms in percentages, if you take 500 pictures and you only get 50 of them scrapped because you spent all day re-looking at those 500 pictures over and over again, you've only accomplished 10% of your goal. But if you only take 100 pictures and you get 90 scrapped, you've scrapped 90% of your goal, or you've got 90% complete. And the difference is that when you take too many pictures, it takes too long to sort through them. So we talked a lot about this when we talked about the photo sorting webinar, and sort of how to pare those down and how to make those decisions. But it really is going to make a huge difference when you go to the crop in terms of what your productivity is. So now, one thing I do want to say about going to a crop is people go to crops for all kinds of reasons. Some people go to crops because they have little kids at home and they can't ever get anything done for themselves and they're at home, so they literally have to leave the house to scrapbook. And those people tend to be on a mission to get scrapbooking done. Then you have other people who have kids at home who maybe don't scrapbook at home, but what they like to do at crops is just enjoy some adult social time where they don't have to worry about their kids. Then there's people who go just to learn new techniques, people who go just to visit, people who go to get a lot of work done. So one of the keys here is identifying what success is to you. I should do a slide about this. But what is success to you at a crop? Is it the number of pages that you get done? There's always a prize for that. Is it learning new things? Is it visiting with friends? Is it some combination? After listening to me rant on for now 8 weeks, that goals are really important for success and for any kind of success. So if you set your expectation and know what you're going to get done at a crop or know what you'd like to get done at a crop, when you accomplish those goals, you'll feel a whole lot better about it. The other thing is if you don't set a goal, how will you know when you got there? Is that how the saying goes? So setting those goals, it makes it easy for you to stay on track and to stay focused and get those things done. And you can have a goal to be social, and you can have a goal to learn 10 new techniques or whatever it is. I'm not saying it just has to be page-related, but when you go to something like this, it's really important to know what that goal is before you go, and that'll really help you pack as well. Okay, so before you can prepare efficiently, you have to have some basic information. What's being provided by the crop host? You're going to do sort of a little information recon mission. What's being provided by the crop host? What are your friends bringing? Tools, equipment that can be shared, doesn't need to be duplicated. Who has the easiest transport systems? So some people have a really easy way to transport their Cricut and all their cartridges, and they love to do it. and some people don't have an easy transport, or it's not even easy to get everything together. A lot of times the crop host is going to provide machines, but you might need to bring your own cartridges. There's all kinds of those options out there, and spending a little bit of time sort of gathering information is going to help you pack before you even decide to pack, so that you have everything that you need or that someone else does. So then what tools can be left at home and used to finish up projects? And we talked a little bit about this when we talked about stamps and punches, and that if you have a good stamp catalog with you at a crop, you don't actually need to bring all your stamps and your inks and your embossing powders and all the tools that you need, because you can build the layout and just put a little sticky note on it of what stamp you're going to use, because you have your example stamps in your catalog with you. So you can see how all the different things we've done over the last 8 weeks are sort of building up to really making you efficient, not only at home, but when you're at a crop as well. And then how many hours will you actually be cropping, shopping, dining, sleeping, visiting, whatever it is? So this kind of goes back to like knowing yourself, knowing what your goal is for the event before you actually start putting things together, and then deciding, you know, what am I really going to do here? Because there's no reason to spend hours packing for something, especially if you can identify in yourself, hey, if I get 20 pages done in 2 days, I'm going to be totally happy. What I really want to do is visit with my friends, have a nice meal, shop without kids, whatever it is. Okay, so it's time to make those decisions before you start packing. Is your motivation for this crop photo-based or project-based? And again, just planning what you're going to do. So if your plan is to complete specific projects rather than scrapbook pages, you'll need very different products. I know a lot of people will go to a crop and do their Christmas cards or do Easter cards or Mother's Day cards or whatever. And the biggest difference here is, besides what you're gathering, so obviously if you're doing, you know, photos and layouts, you're going to get your photos and your memorabilia and your journaling notes and all those things. But the biggest difference here is you don't need to bring things that you're not actually going to use. So if you're project-based, there's no reason to bring, you know, pictures and scrapbooking stuff. And essentially, I've seen gals at crops who I know have everything they own in their homes following behind them on 3 rolling totes and 2 tackle boxes in the backpack. And really their goal was to make Christmas cards, and so there wasn't any reason to bring all that stuff. Now you all have this huge advantage over most people now before you go to a crop, and that it's easy to pull your stuff together. So once you decide, am I going to do projects, am I going to do pages, then you can start pulling those things together quickly and easily. Very important, you don't need to take everything you own. So stick to the subject or subjects that you've chosen, and just bring supplies that match those subjects, and then stick with sticky notes. So anything that you didn't bring with you, stamps or punches or maybe a Cricut cartridge or maybe something else that you completely forgot about for whatever reason, but you want to use it on that page, that's where that sticky note comes in. So make sure you bring some sticky notes with you so that you can get the most use out of those things. And when you get home, it'll be easy to find the stamp number that you need or whatever it is. The next thing you're going to do is gather your supplies. So if you've completed all the previous steps to the challenge, this is a pretty easy step. You'll be able to pull together the right themes, colors, etc. in just a few minutes. Now, if you haven't completed the challenge, or you're kind of working your way through different sections, and let's say you decide that you're going to work on soccer this time, but you haven't organized your soccer stuff or whatever, well, now's the perfect time to pull all that soccer stuff together. So now you do, boom, your soccer section is done, and when you get home from the crop, instead of recontainerizing your soccer stuff, now you're just going to take all your soccer stuff and put it all away together in your sports section or soccer section, whatever you have. So just because you don't have those things already sorted together doesn't mean you can't take that particular project to a crop. You just need to have some extra time to pull those things together and get them started in that 4-section system. And then you're just taking another step. You're just moving yourself forward another step. So step number 4 is pack it up. And my biggest piece of advice for you is to pack in reverse. I don't know if you'll do this when you travel, but the things that you're going to use first go on the top, and the things that you need last are on the bottom, so that as you start to pull things out, you're just kind of rotating through. Well, if you do the same thing with what you're going to take to a crop, so that as you pull things out of your tote, you're pulling things out that you need to set up on the table first, and then you pull out the final thing. So Lay it out like a packing table, the same way you would when you lay out your clothes for a trip. And when you put things into your tote, be sure the things you need to set up your cropping space are on top. Keep an empty paper storage box just for going to crops. It makes it easy to pack up the papers you need. So if your papers are not in paper storage boxes or not in your scrap rack at this point, let's say they're on paper storage racks, right? If you keep just one empty paper storage box just for going to crops, and you can even fold it flat while it's being stored, then let's say you're working on Christmas, but all your Christmas paper is on that paper storage rack. You can take that paper storage box, put all your Christmas paper right into the box, drop the box into your tote. When you're at the crop, that box comes out and sits on the crop table with you. You know, it's only 3 inches wide, so instead of taking up 12 inches by 12 inches of space with a stack of paper, now you're just taking up 3 inches of space with that stack of paper. You can thumb through it. You can see it all. When you get home, you can just take it out of the box and put it right back on the shelf if you're using shelves for that kind of thing. So it really works well just to have an empty one available for going to crops. Okay, so the common question I get is, what do I use? And I am a minimalist, and I limit myself to just one tote. So this is the crop tote from Office Depot. It's not called a crop tote at Office Depot. It's called a collapsible file tote, I think. And then, of course, we make the apron that goes around it. Now, this is an older apron, so it's navy blue. The new aprons match the travel pack colors. But it has just enough pockets for me to have all my basic pens and tools on the outside. And then I take whatever scrap rack pages, whatever spiners I need, and I just stand them up on the inside. I pull the base unit flat. That goes on the inside with the wings. I put, if I need more paper, it'll fit in that side pocket. So you can see the side pocket there on the right side. But essentially, when I leave for a crop, this is what I've got with me. Now, I don't haul a bunch of tools with me to a crop. I do a lot of research about who's bringing what and what I can borrow and what the crop host is providing so that I'm hauling less stuff with me. And I'm really comfortable with that. Now, I'm not advocating for those of you who love to bring your tools. I'm not saying don't bring your tools. Because if you're one of those people who loves to bring tools, then you have friends like me who love the fact that you bring tools so that I don't have to. So I'm not saying that, you know, don't get a stomach ache, what I'm saying. I'm just saying if you want to go with the economy of motion, economy of packing, then you have to really do that research and be comfortable sharing other people's tools and supplies as well. And I'll tell you from the many, many emails I get from people about going to crops and being organized with all their stuff, one of the joys for lots of people at crops is being able to share their stuff and find stuff that their friends need and sort of make everybody else's life a little bit easier. So please don't misinterpret my minimalist tactics. But if you can go simply and you don't mind using what's being provided by the crop host, it does make it really easy. I can literally pack this tote in just a couple of minutes and be out the door with any theme or category that I'm going to work with. Now, the tote, again, is from Office Depot. It's about $22 from Office Depot, and the apron is something that we do separately. So when I'm set up for a crop, you can see there's the tools on the outside, and then my scrap rack set up on the top. And this one actually has, I think this scrap rack actually has like 8 binders on it. I wouldn't actually take that much stuff with me to a crop. It was just that I was at my sister's house in this one, and so I took a lot more stuff than I would normally take because it was going to stay there for a while. But it does make it really easy to get to anything that you want in just a few minutes because it is so simple to get to. So what's the challenge for this week? The challenge for this week is to set yourself up for success at future crops. And there's a couple things that you need to do to be successful. First of all, what I talked about in the beginning, sort of off the cuff, is decide what your goal is. I'm going to add that to the screens here. Maybe I'll add it before I actually save them as PDF so it's in there. But so decide what your goal is before you ever go, okay? And then find out what the crop host is offering you. Hang on, I'm writing myself a note really quickly. And then find a tote that you want to use for going to crops exclusively if possible. One of the nice things about having a tote that's exclusively set up for crops is that you can keep the list that you're going to make in there, that paper storage box that you might have, any tools that are particular. I know some people have sets of scissors and different rulers or whatever, things that are always packed away with their crop crate, so they don't have to pull all those things together out of their room as well. But anything that can stay with it is going to be perfect. It's going to be so much easier. Now, with the apron, if you're using the tote, with the apron, it makes it really easy to put your tools in because you can see everything. It's really visible. You're not dropping things into a bag or whatever, so you know that you have your rulers and your scissors and your paper trimmer or whatever else it is there. So the next thing you're going to do is create a packing list of crop must-have, and these are the things that you'll take every time. So spend some time thinking about how to pack these items and how they'll be used. Keep the list in your tote so that you can use it every time you crop. If you find that there are things you always take but never use, cross them off the list. So it's really important that you just keep that list tucked into a pocket or, you know, in with your supplies. And then if you're constantly carrying something with you to crop that you never use it, then you can say, hey, I didn't, you know, you can say didn't use a couple times, and then you know you don't need to haul that around anymore. The other thing is you're sitting at the crop and you think to yourself, boy, I wish I had my blank. You can pull your packing list out and write it down right there on the packing list and then put the packing list back in the tote. So the next time you're packing, you remember that there was something that you really wish you would have had and didn't quite have it. So then the other thing is to decide how much you can do in an hour to crop. Add 20% to that amount just in case you're able to skip eating and sleeping. And this should include the number of pages or quantity of projects you can accomplish, cards, mini albums, layouts, whatever it is. And use this list as your guide for packing to go to an actual crop. And the reason I say add 20% is that's just a little safety net. So one of the things that kind of freaks people out about going to a crop is if I limit what I take, I might get everything done, and then what will I do? And so if you kind of figure out what you think you can accomplish, what's reasonable to accomplish, what you've accomplished in the past maybe, and then you add another 20% to that, then you'll be able to go confidently saying, okay, I've done 10 pages before, so I'm going to take enough stuff to do 12 pages just in case, you know, that I'm going to finish those up. The other thing is that try to take stuff that goes together. So if you think you're going to work on Christmas from 2011 at the crop this time, and you think that you probably get it all done, now you have all your Christmas stuff with you. So, you know, if you're looking for some backup stuff, take other Christmas stuff, 2010 or, you know, old or whatever you want to take. And that way, if you actually finish it, the project that you thought you were going to get done, you have the same supplies. So even if it's something like, you know, if you're working on soccer pages and you're going to do this season in soccer, but if you're taking your whole sports section, you have some baseball pictures floating around or, you know, whatever it is, then you could take those things as your kind of backup because you already have your sports stuff. What you don't want to do is decide you're going to work on sports and then take a totally different backup theme just in case you finish the sports stuff. Because the idea is not to haul that much stuff. Remember, whatever kind of crop tote you're working out of, it's a little bit different if you're using a scrap rack and you're taking it and setting it on top of the tote like this picture. But most of the time, if you're going to a crop and you have a tote that you have to dig through, you don't want to keep digging through things or past things that you're not actually going to use because they're not your priority. So packing the tote becomes really important then. So sort of your backup stuff is at the bottom or the least accessible space. That way if you finish your main project, you can, you know, dig into that. But what you don't want to do is take a bunch of stuff that you have to dig past or dig through or that you might damage or things get stuck together, corners bent or whatever, if you don't have to. So try to take themes, you know, that work in conjunction with what you really want to do, and that way if you run out of stuff, you can actually get it done. So that's it for this simple task of the week. I'm going to open up the question pane here, and anybody who has questions about this event, an upcoming event, or something we've already talked about, I'll answer those questions now. So let me put my glasses back on now so I can actually see. Let's see. My question pane is a little weird. It keeps jumping around on my screen here. Okay. When we have, Joanna says, hi from Joanna. Remind listeners they can hear the webinars on YouTube. Yes, you can also watch the webinars on YouTube. So if you are interested in all that we have to say at the Scrap Rack, you can subscribe, and then whenever we post something new on YouTube, also you'll get a message about that. LaFawn says, I signed up for the Organize Your Magazine Ideas and Articles, and the email confirmation reminder shows the date as May 22nd instead of tomorrow. That's very interesting, LaFawn, because I thought it was tomorrow also, although I have had many, many technical difficulties this month. So I will double check that. I'm prepared to teach it tomorrow. So I will look at the webinar confirmation and see what's going on. Now, here's what happens. I can repost a new one with the right date if for some reason the date's wrong. And that happened last week. Like, all our dates got shifted over. So I'm not sure if that was me or that was something that happened to go to webinar. But anyway, so I'll check it, and then I'll post the link on Facebook, and I'll send out the link in the email that's going out tonight as well. But you have to re-sign up. There's no way with GoToWebinar that I can take everybody who signed up for the one that I thought was tomorrow also and move them anywhere. You have to sign up as each one is individual. Now, the ones that are all linked together, that's a different thing. But so if you see something different that says sign up if you want this, maybe I'll teach it twice. We'll see. But I will double check. LaFawn, thank you for bringing that up. Jimmy says, looking forward to visiting with you at the Great American Scrapbook in Arlington. Love your products. Thank you, Jimmy. I'm looking forward to seeing you too. From Odessa. Joanna says, Office Depot has sales on their totes. Check the ads in the Sunday paper. Joanna found one on sale, 20% off, plus a coupon for $15, and I love it. The handle collapses, and I keep it under my crop table. Good job, Joanna. Yeah, those totes, they do go on sale all the time at Office Depot. So about every other time I'm in there, so probably every other month they go on sale. So Christina asked, how many spinders fit in the tote? You can actually put 7 spinders in there standing up. I'm going to go back a picture here and see if you can tell in my how mine are stacked up in here. Let's see with this picture. So this tote only has 3. So, and all the spinders, it looks like, are on one side. When I take more spinders than that, I put the spinders on opposite sides of the tote. So you can see on the right side of the tote, there's a little bit of a gap there. So I just rotate spinders on opposite sides, and that kind of fills in the gaps on both sides and holds things a little more snugly. So when Christina says hers shows 522 also. So it looks like I might be teaching it twice. I'm going to, the Summer 2012 Challenge starts tomorrow. And then the magazine one is the 22nd also. Maybe we'll just go with the 22nd if everybody's on board for that. So if anybody has a problem with it, then let me know as we're posting up here. Maybe I'll just leave it at the 22nd. I would love the 22nd. Tomorrow is bad. Okay, so I'll definitely teach it on the 22nd for those of you who are signed up. How about that? And we can just bump it to the 22nd, and we'll see what happens, because it sounds like everybody's on board with that. So Sarah asks, I got my scrap rack last week, and I'm filling it up. Can you remind me how many pages I should expect to get on a binder? I'm getting about 15, but I thought I remembered more than that. Do I have things that are too fat in my pages? I would say you can usually get 20 to 30 pages on a binder, Sarah. Now, with that said, some people only put 1 item in each pocket. Some people put 3 or 4 or 5 items in a pocket. So obviously, if you have 5 items versus 1, you're going to have more stuff, but not as many pages. So the trick is to put your binder on the table flat, push all the pages and dividers over to one side, and then try to pop this binder open. And when you pop it open, if the pages pop off, then you have it too full. But if they stay on the ring, then it's fine. And there's actually, I'll put a link to that too, to this binder article, so you can see the pictures of what that looks like. So if you want to keep your pages with lots of stuff in them so they're really fat, then you're going to use less pages. but get more stuff. And it's kind of a personal preference thing. I know Merle, who many of you have met on the road with me, she just likes to have one thing in each pocket. Sometimes she'll put a piece of cardstock in between things, and then she puts one thing on either side of the cardstock. But she really likes it really neat and tidy and highly visible. She doesn't like to bunch her stuff up. So I think she's probably up to about 6 scrap racks now. But all her stuff is really clear and visible. So it just kind of depends on the preference. I think I personally average between 20 and 30 pages, depending. Now, if we're talking about things like stickers, they take up a lot of space. Rubber stamps, they're pretty thick also. You know, I put my unmounted stamps in my pocket pages, 2 per page, so one facing each direction, so then they're even a little bit thicker. So just that kind of stuff, but between 20 and 30 is not unreasonable, depending on your thing. Let's see. Tomorrow would work better for me, says Rose. So looking forward to seeing you in Florida on Friday. I'm looking forward to seeing you too, Diane Fox. So yeah, we're in Orlando this coming weekend, and I'm totally looking forward to that. That's going to be a great show, and I understand that it's nice and warm there. It's warm here too. Thankfully, we had a fabulous Mother's Day. I hope all of you had a wonderful Mother's Day. Also, I had an amazing, wonderful Mother's Day with my family. It was great, and the weather was very cooperative. So, all right, let's see if I got all the questions. Jean says, perfect timing for this webinar. Packing for Orlando now. An apron for my tote came today. Now I just have to make the list so I can make a dedicated crop tote. Looking forward to seeing you there. I'm looking forward to seeing you too, Jean. And I want anybody that has this crop crate apron that we make, you need to be really careful with the tote that you're putting it around, and that you have it pulled all the way down inside the tote, and that you're not putting items in the back pocket that are really heavy. So I know that some people have used the Office Max tote or the tote from, I think, Joann's, and it's a little bit smaller, and so then the back panel has a tendency to drag, or you don't have the tote, the apron pulled all the way in on the inside of the tote, which means it's too long on the back. So just be aware of that as you're loading up, anybody that's got that tote apron, that you don't want to weight down that back pocket too much, or and that you want to make sure the tote apron is pulled all the way inside so you're not dragging it in the back. Yar says, Yar, I saw your ink post. It was very nice. You did an excellent job on your rainbow. Yar asks, questions about ink pads and markers. I use Stampin' Up! Inks and markers and have the same color for both. How do you label them if they are the same color? Same number? I did Stampin' Up! For pad, SUP for pad and SUM for markers, and gave 100 to pads and 200 for markers. Example, SUP 101 is an ink pad and SUM 201 is a marker. Help. I think that's perfect, Yara. It's a perfect way. It makes total sense, especially makes sense to you, but easy to tie those two things together. So my only suggestion is to make yourself a cheat note that that's what you did, because sometimes we forget, like, what now, is this marker match this? So as long as you don't go over 100 inks or 100 markers, you'll be able to tie everything together. But I think it's a perfect solution, and you're able to pull exactly the matching things easily. So I think you did a great job. That's probably exactly what I would have done. Oh, Yar says, I did it. I made a cheat sheet. Good job, girl. You always forget. I always have these great intentions about what things mean, and then I forget my little shortcuts. So now I've gotten to the point where I make a lot of cheat sheets to remind me what I'm supposed to do. So it looks like we're at the end of questions here. So let's see. I'm just making sure. Sometimes I skip one. So watch for the email to come out tonight with all the links in it that we talked about. Get your list together for your crop crates and your tools. Don't be afraid to research, and don't be afraid to share or ask your friends to bring things, or be willing to bring things to share with your friends to the crops, because it'll make it so much faster and easier to pack and easier to put things away and easier to unload. It's just easier. Sharing is always easier. So Sarah says, I just looked at the reminder for the summer organization, and mine says this tomorrow. The summer challenge starts tomorrow morning at 9. So that's definitely at 9. It's that magazine challenge that is debatable for the whether it's right follows the session tomorrow. So I may do two. I may do one, follow with the session tomorrow and follow with the session on the 22nd as well. So I'm not sure if I can talk for 3 straight hours, but I'm so willing to give it a shot, ladies. I'm so willing. Summer Challenge at 9 a.m. or p.m. It's at 9 a.m. Pacific time, so not too early for us here, and lunchtime for those of you on the East Coast. So those of you who are jumping in again, I will see you tomorrow morning or talk to you tomorrow morning. How can I get invited for the one tomorrow, the book organization at noon? I'm going to put an invite for the one for tomorrow. So if it sounds like the GoToWebinar invite is wrong, I'm going to do a new invite, and I'll post it on Facebook, and I'll do that right away. So that'll actually get posted right after the webinar before I even have the downloads done or anything for posting or send out the email or whatever. So check that, and I'll tweet it out as well. So if you're a follower on Twitter, you'll get it that way as well. Okay. Oh, and Joanna just posted a reminder that if you're having trouble downloading the Get Organized Challenge workbooks, she will email you a PDF of them so you don't have to download it off our site. And I think our tech guy said the reason some people are having trouble downloading is because we have the newest version of Adobe Reader on our website, and not everybody constantly upgrades Adobe Reader because it's constantly changing. So if you're having trouble downloading off our site, he said it's probably because you might need to upgrade your Adobe Reader, which is free. You just go to adobe.com and download the latest edition of that. So that's definitely a process. Nancy says, will the workbook be the same as the past 2 webinars? Yes, it will be the same. I was going to add the magazine organization to the summer challenge, but since we're doing it right at the beginning, I thought I would wait and add it to the fall workbook for the fall challenge. And Sandra says, so tomorrow is at 9, not 10. I thought it was posted at 10. It's 9 Pacific, so 10. I'm pretty sure. I have it on my calendar at 9, so it should be 9 o'clock. But whatever your link will let you in. So, but it says so I'm assuming you're Pacific, Sandra, because you did say PT after that. All right, ladies, I will see many of you tomorrow morning, some of you tomorrow afternoon, or I will talk to some of you tomorrow afternoon. So have a great week, and set up your crop tote or get your crop list going. If you scrap with Scrap Pals, call them up or email them and say, hey, what's in your crop tote? Now, what is that? What's in your wallet? Oh, that's capital, right? What's in your crop tote? And so kind of touch base as you're doing your list with friends who might also want to travel a little bit more lightly. And those of you who I won't talk to tomorrow, who are in Orlando, I will see you in Orlando this weekend. So have a great week. Get a lot done. And a little message from Esther. Thank you, Tiffany. Great sessions. I'm so glad you enjoyed them. I love teaching them, which you probably already know because I say that all the time, but it is really a fun part of my job here. So, all right, ladies, take care, and I will talk to you tomorrow morning or later the next time you sign up to join me for a webinar. Have a great